In the early morning light of Chicago, the sun's rays streamed into the kitchen of my restaurant Olivia, casting a red glow on the tomato sauce I was preparing. Outside the window, the skyscrapers were shrouded in morning mist, heralding the start of a new day. "Olivia, could you take a look at today's special menu test?" Michael, my young sous chef, called out. In his hands was a perfectly cooked lobster, its glossy red shell gleaming in the morning light. "Yes, bring it here," I said, turning down the heat and stepping away from the stove to take the plate. I couldn't help but smile at the sophisticated plating. When I cut into it, the meat was perfectly moist. The cooking was flawless. "Wonderful, Michael." But I paused briefly before continuing. "Why don't you try adding lemongrass to the sauce? It'll create another layer of aroma. And for the asparagus garnish, choose slightly thinner ones. Delicacy is key." Michael nodded, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Watching his earnest expression as he took notes, I felt a tightness in my chest. It was like seeing my younger self. His passion mirrored my own from 10 years ago. Back then, I too was learning desperately under my parents at our family restaurant, Casa Bella. It was a small Italian restaurant in a quiet residential area on the outskirts of Columbus, Ohio, a brick building with distinctive white window frames, seating about 80 people. For 35 years, my parents had been weaving their dreams there. My father Thomas was a stubborn craftsman, more passionate about traditional Italian cuisine than anyone. My mother Mary welcomed regular customers with her warm smile, treating them like family. And my sister Laura still helps run the restaurant with our parents. When I decided to strike out on my own, my father silently stared at me in the kitchen, then turned his back. "I have no expectations for a daughter who can't maintain family traditions." Those words still pierce my heart today. Since then, our conversations have been minimal. Yet, I had been secretly supporting the family restaurant. Though we appeared estranged on the surface, I tried to maintain family bonds in my own way. After my success in Chicago, I introduced wealthy clients to my family's restaurant and secured high-end ingredient supply routes. I couldn't return for Christmas because it was my restaurant's busiest season, but I never even got the chance to explain that. My sister Laura devoted herself to our parents, filling the void of my absence. With her bright and sociable personality, she earned deep trust from regular customers. Perhaps she was desperately trying to fill the emptiness I left behind. However, the occasional barbs in her voice revealed her complicated feelings toward me. My sister abandoned her family to pursue her own dreams. I once overheard these words from an employee when I had the chance to speak with the family restaurant's staff. My sister's true feelings cut deep into my heart. "Owner, you have a phone call. It's an interview request from the Chicago Tribune." A staff member's voice brought me back to reality. As the morning silence was broken, a new day was about to begin. I sighed deeply and reached for the receiver. After hanging up, I immediately checked the special order list for my family's restaurant. Every Friday, I prepared premium ingredients for them. Direct import prosciutto from Italy, the finest truffles, fresh organic vegetables. My parents didn't know. They probably thought the support was just goodwill from business partners. This was my form of atonement. My invisible expression of family love. As I returned to the kitchen, I wondered, how long would this situation continue? Would the day of true reconciliation ever come? Outside the window, the morning sun grew brighter. One afternoon, I was finishing a new dessert in the kitchen. An apple tart tatin with vanilla bean ice cream. Just as the aroma of caramel filled the kitchen, my smartphone notification chimed. Opening Instagram, my eyes fell on a familiar red brick building. It was a post from my family's restaurant, Casa Bella. My finger froze on the screen filled with the photo. Mom and Dad's 35th anniversary party. Under the festive text was a photo of my smiling parents and sister. The three of them huddled together, looking picture perfect and happy. Mother wore a dress I'd never seen, and Father was unusually dressed in a suit. Laura had her arms around our parents as if protecting them. Something heavy settled in my chest. No invitation came for me. My whispered words echoed in the quiet kitchen. All the staff were on break, leaving me alone. The sweet smell of caramel suddenly seemed cloying. The steam rising from the tart tatin blurred my vision. My hand holding the phone trembled. Scrolling through the screen, the comments section was filled with congratulatory messages. Regular customers, friends, relatives, familiar names appeared one after another. Father's old friends, mother's cooking class companions, high school classmates. But my name wasn't among them. It was as if my existence had been completely erased. 35 years. An important milestone. The anniversary of the life my parents had built together. Was there no place for me at this celebration? Taking a deep breath, I dialed my sister's number. The ringtone from the receiver felt abnormally long. After several rings, Laura's voice came through. "Well, this is rare." I could hear the forced smile in her overly bright voice. In the background, I could hear the bustle of our family restaurant. The clinking of wine glasses, customers' laughter, calls from the kitchen. These nostalgic sounds only served to unsettle my heart further. "Why didn't you tell me about the party?" I asked, trying my best to suppress my emotions. Desperately holding back the heat rising in my throat. After a moment of silence, a cold laugh leaked through the receiver. "Because you've never done anything for Mom and Dad, have you?" With those words, something snapped inside me. Everything went white. "That's not true." You don't have the right to be here when you can't even come home for Christmas. You don't care about the family restaurant, do you?" Laura cut off my words, speaking dismissively. Her voice was tinged with years of accumulated resentment. Jealousy toward her always perfect sister, family expectations, the pressure of inheriting the restaurant. All of it was contained in her words. "Laura, listen. I have my reasons." "Forget it. Mom's calling me. We're busy preparing for the party." Before hanging up, her final words stabbed into my ears. "Someone who abandoned their family has no right to participate in family celebrations." The line went dead. In the silent kitchen, I stood frozen for a while. Various thoughts swirled in my mind. Supporting my parents, watching over them secretly, feelings that couldn't reach them. And the 10-year void. My steps felt strangely light as I headed to my office. All my past kindness and patience seemed to have been in vain. The party reservation list appeared on my computer screen. All the reservations I had arranged for my family in secret. The full-course meal from the high-end catering service, Lou Festin. The VIP room reserved at the signature room for the anniversary dinner. The special ingredients that were to be imported from Italy. The anniversary gift with a coral motif that I had chosen for my parents. My hand no longer trembled as I picked up the receiver. "Yes, I'm calling about cancellations." A quiet determination settled in my mind. My back straightened, and strength entered my voice. I'd like to cancel all the reservations. Yes, everything. Late at night in the empty Olivia, I sat alone at my desk. The computer's blue-white light illuminated the dark office. On the screen was a list of suppliers who dealt with my family's restaurant. Is this really okay? My soliloquy broke the silence. Doubt crossed my mind, but my sister's cold words echoed in my ears again. Someone who abandoned their family has no right to participate in family celebrations. With a deep sigh, I began typing emails. I hope this email finds you well. This is Olivia Miller, owner-chef of Olivia in Chicago. The text requesting the cessation of premium ingredient supply to my family's restaurant appeared on the screen. Truffles, caviar, the finest prosciutto. All these ingredients that had been supplied at special prices through my introduction. My fingertips trembled slightly. Each time I pressed the send button, my chest tightened. But there was no turning back now. I apologize, but could you please stop deliveries to Casa Bella in Columbus after this week? By the time I finished writing the emails, the pre-dawn sky had begun to paint the eastern horizon. A heavy atmosphere hung in the usually lively kitchen of Casa Bella. What's going on? Sudden termination notices from our regular suppliers. Laura stood frozen, clutching her smartphone. The screen displayed multiple notices of business termination from various suppliers. Papa, what are we going to do about the premium ingredients? Thomas continued silently sharpening his knife. Laura noticed that his hand movements were slightly rougher than usual. We'll just find other suppliers, Mary said brightly. But anxiety mixed in her voice. But Mom, at these prices, nowhere else. It'll be fine. We've been here for 35 years in this town. We'll manage somehow. Mother's forced bravery rang painfully. That evening, Mr. Johnson, a regular customer, came to the restaurant. A local real estate mogul who always ordered multiple bottles of wine, he was a valued customer. The truffle pasta tastes different today. With that one comment, the atmosphere in the restaurant froze. We apologize. Actually, regarding our supplies. Before Laura could explain, Mr. Johnson stood up. That's a shame. I was planning to bring my business partners here. With those words, another name disappeared from the reservation book. As weeks passed, similar scenes repeated. Complaints from regular customers, canceled reservations, declining sales. Gradually, Casa Bella's reputation began to waver. Why? Why did this suddenly happen? During break time, Laura stared at her phone in the employee locker room. The screen kept showing notification after notification of cancellations. 3 days until the party. At this rate, even their parents' 35th anniversary party would. Laura, got a minute? Turning to her father's voice, she saw his more tired than usual expression. How are the reservations? Papa, about that. Laura stumbled over her words. She couldn't explain the reason for the cancellations. The cause of the recent situation remained unclear. I understand. Maybe we're just getting old. Tears welled up in Laura's eyes at her father's words. That's not true. Your and Mom's Italian cuisine is second to none. Father smiled gently at her almost shouting voice. Thank you. But times change, you know. That night, Laura was looking through an old family album. Photos from 35 years ago when her parents opened Casa Bella. Young Thomas and Mary, their faces full of hope. And pictures of the sisters as children. Olivia embracing me. Big sister. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She reached for her phone, then stopped. Her own words echoed in her ears. Someone who abandoned. Just then, she heard her mother's cry. What? Cancelled? The party catering? Rushing downstairs, she found her parents desperately talking on the phone. Please, isn't there any way? Yes. I understand. Her father's hand trembled as he put down the receiver. The restaurant we reserved also called to cancel. Her mother's voice broke off. Their wedding anniversary. What should have been a special milestone. Laura desperately searched for new catering companies. But no one could fill a last-minute cancellation. The reserved restaurant was already booked with other customers. Is it my fault? Late that night, Laura cried in her room. Jealousy toward her sister, feelings for her family, and reality. Everything tangled together, constricting her heart. Outside, early summer rain fell quietly. The phone rang again. It was from her parents. But she didn't have the courage to answer it now. In Chicago, Olivia also received continuous calls from home. The words Mom and Dad displayed on the screen. But she too couldn't answer the phone. On the morning of the party, a heavy atmosphere hung over Casa Bella. The catering and high-end restaurant reservations were cancelled. Though the employees desperately proceeded with preparations, the special day meant to celebrate 35 years was about to begin like any other business day. Mom, is this vase okay? Laura was arranging flowers bought from a local florist in an old crystal vase. Her mother nodded silently. Simple flowers stood where luxurious floral arrangements should have been. Just then, the sound of the store's door opening echoed. Good morning, welcome to. Laura's voice trailed off. The visitor was Michael Brown, CEO of a major New York investment firm. A well-known gourmet in the American Italian cuisine world, his evaluations carried significant influence in the industry. I'm here on recommendation from Olivia, the owner-chef of Olivia, in Chicago. Those words froze everyone in the restaurant. From Olivia? Thomas put down his knife and stepped forward. Yes. She highly praised the food here. Said the truffle risotto was a must-try. Brown pulled out a business card from his pocket. Sure enough, there was Olivia's handwriting with words of recommendation. But recently, the truffle procurement. As Laura began to speak, her mother interjected. We apologize. Lately, it's been difficult to obtain quality ingredients. Oh. That's surprising. The suppliers Olivia introduced should handle the highest quality ingredients. At those words, the whole family exchanged glances. Olivia's introduction? Father's voice trembled. Yes. I heard she was so impressed with Casa Bella's cuisine that she's been introducing many wealthy clients and top-tier suppliers. I'm one of them. Silence dominated the restaurant. Breaking that silence was the voice of a veteran chef from the kitchen. Come to think of it, the unusually low prices for premium ingredients were that child. Tears welled up in Mother's eyes. Wait a minute. Laura pulled out her smartphone with trembling hands and began checking the history. The suppliers who had announced termination of business. Most of them had business relationships with her sister's restaurant, Olivia. Could it be? Memories raced through her mind like a film reel. The consistently good monthly sales. The wealthy customers who became regulars. Had her sister been supporting all of this behind the scenes? Even not coming home for Christmas. Mother mumbled. Christmas is the busiest time of year for high-end restaurants. Of course an owner chef couldn't leave their restaurant then. And yet Laura's knees weakened. Her words of criticism toward her sister. The wedding anniversary party invitation she didn't send. All of it was a tragedy caused by her own shallow judgment. The party reservations. Father suddenly remembered. The cancelled catering, the high-end restaurant reservation, could they all have been arranged by her sister? Just then, the bell at the store entrance rang again. I'm sorry, we're not open yet. Laura's words trailed off again. The visitor was James Campbell, a famous food critic from Chicago. In his hands was a bundle of documents. I'm here for an interview at Olivia Miller's request. An interview? Yes. An article about an established Italian restaurant of 35 years. She called you my foundation and greatest teachers. Campbell pulled out one of the documents. There was a manuscript written by Olivia. My parents taught me not just cooking techniques, but heart as well. Casa Bella is my pride and eternal home. Mother's voice choked up. The article detailed memories of spending time in the kitchen since childhood, father's strict but loving guidance, mother's gentle encouragement, and happy days with her sister. Why such an article? To Laura's question, Campbell quietly answered. It was scheduled to be published on the day of the 35th anniversary party. Silence fell again. Breaking that silence was the ringtone of Father's cell phone. An unknown number displayed on the screen. Hello, this is Thomas. Mr. Miller, this is Lo Festin from Chicago. We received an urgent request from Olivia. It was the high-end catering service. They said Olivia had begged them to reinstate the cancelled reservation. But it's too late. If it's for Olivia's sake, we'll somehow. Next, the reserved restaurant called. We can specially arrange the VIP room. For Olivia's sake. Phones kept ringing, and things started moving. Food suppliers also said they would arrange special delivery. Just then, Laura's smartphone vibrated. A message from Olivia. I'm sorry. I meant to ruin the party, but I couldn't bring myself to spoil our parents' special day. The screen blurred with tears. I'm sorry too. As she was about to type a reply, the sound of a car stopping in front of the store caught her attention. Stepping out of the luxury car was Olivia. The sister's eyes were also moist with tears as she turned to her sister's voice. I'm home. With those words, frozen time began to move again. Mother rushed over and embraced her daughter. Welcome home, welcome home. Father approached slowly, maintaining his usual stoic expression. However, his eyes were more moist than usual. You're late. I'm sorry, Papa. As Olivia was about to bow her head, a large hand gently stroked her head. Welcome back. At those words, Olivia's emotions burst forth. Papa. Mama. I'm sorry. It's all right now. Father's voice resonated gently. You were always thinking about the family. If anything, we should be the ones. Laura stepped forward. She bowed deeply before her sister. Big sister, I'm truly sorry. My jealousy, my immaturity. Olivia gently embraced her sister's shoulders. I was wrong too. If I had been more honest about my feelings. Their parents joined the two sisters' embrace. The crystallization of love built by the couple over 35 years. And the bond between sisters born from that love. The morning sun was streaming into the restaurant, as if announcing the beginning of a new day. Well, let's prepare for the party. Everyone nodded at Mother's voice. Olivia, will you help? At Father's words, his daughter's face lit up. Of course, Papa. I've thought of a special menu. For you and Mama. Energetic sounds began to echo from the kitchen. The sight of father and daughter handling knives was like returning to the old days. 3 months later at Casa Bella. Construction vehicles lined up in front of the restaurant in the morning mist. Use these bricks for this wall. Olivia was showing the construction manager the blueprints. 2 weeks had passed since the renovation of their family restaurant began. The interior, unchanged for 35 years, was gradually showing its new face. Big sister, how about this lighting? Laura came running with a catalog in hand. Now attending culinary school in Chicago, she returns home on weekends to help with the renovation. That's nice. It has warmth. Mother smiled at the sight of her daughters exchanging opinions. Things really have changed. The sisters turned at Mary's words. What has? The restaurant's atmosphere? No, you too. The daughters bashfully averted their eyes from their mother's gentle gaze. Indeed, many things had changed over these 3 months. After the wedding anniversary party, Olivia began returning to Columbus once a week. Leaving her Chicago restaurant to her capable deputy chef, she's been advancing the renovation plans for the family restaurant. Have you decided on the new menu? Thomas called out while checking the vegetables he had received. Yes, we'll keep the traditional menu while adding modern arrangements. Olivia answered. Father's eyes shone with pride. I'm also gradually adding new recipes. Laura said shyly. She had begun applying the skills learned at culinary school bit by bit. Can I train at your Chicago restaurant this weekend? Olivia nodded without hesitation at her sister's request. Of course. But it'll be tough. I'm prepared. The sisters' bright laughter mixed with the construction sounds. That night, after closing time, the family of 4 gathered around a table cleared of construction dust at Casa Bella. Red wine glasses clinked quietly. 1 month until the reopening after renovation. Father looked around the restaurant nostalgically. Feeling sad? Olivia asked. Yes, but... Thomas paused briefly as if searching for words. The new Casa Bella will surely be wonderful. Because it contains all our family's feelings. Everyone smiled warmly at those words. Hey, big sister. Laura began with a slightly nervous expression. Actually, I've been thinking. What is it? After the renovation, I'd like to operate as sister restaurants. Olivia stared at her sister in surprise. I'm still inexperienced, but, after training at your restaurant, someday I want to take over the family restaurant. Before her words trailed off, Olivia took her sister's hand. I think that's a wonderful idea. Their parents nodded silently. But this time, talk to me honestly, okay? Everyone laughed at Olivia's joke. Their past conflicts were becoming fond memories. I really am sorry. Back then. It's fine now. Let's look forward. Laura teared up at her sister's words. But it's okay to fight sometimes, Mother said with a mischievous look. After all, fighting means you trust each other enough to do so, right? Everyone nodded at those words. Outside the window, the stars were spread across the sky. Through gaps in the construction coverings, the new sign was visible. Casa Bella, since 1989. Things that change, things that remain the same. Embracing it all, the restaurant was about to step into a new era. 1 year later. Welcome to Casa Bella. Laura greets customers with a smile. The interior maintains its traditional warmth while exuding a modern atmosphere. In the kitchen, Thomas is instructing new chefs. His aging hands seem even more skilled than before. Papa, please taste this sauce. Thomas proudly accepts the spoon Laura offers. His daughter's skills have definitely improved after her training in Chicago. Perfect. Laura's eyes shine at those words. Mary still makes her rounds in the dining room with her warm smile. Conversations with regular customers bloom with talk of new menu items. This weekend, Olivia is coming from our sister restaurant in Chicago. The customer's eyes sparkle with anticipation at those words. The monthly sister collaboration has become a new attraction at Casa Bella. Late at night after closing, the family gathers in the kitchen as usual. Here, connecting from Chicago. Everyone smiles toward Olivia's video call. How was the new recipe? The customers loved it. As expected from a Michelin-starred chef. Olivia blushes at her mother's words. Next time, I'll serve Laura's recipe at Olivia. What? Mine? Yes. I want to show Chicago my sister's talent. The family's warm conversation echoes in the quiet kitchen. See you next weekend then. We'll be waiting. After the call ends, Father quietly says. We're blessed. Everyone nodded deeply at those words. Even past conflicts have now become nourishment strengthening the family. Outside, the early summer breeze rustled through the street trees. The light spilling from Casa Bella's windows warmly illuminated the darkness. A new page was about to be added to their 35-year history. It was a story woven not by one person alone, but by the entire family together. Mother poured old wine into glasses. To family bonds. For glasses clinked quietly. The sound resonated into the night sky like a pledge to the future.